The great Naz Hillmon is here to talk about her rookie season in Atlanta. Locked on Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, happy Thursday to you and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal. Remind you can subscribe to us everywhere you get your podcasts. Locked On Women's Basketball also available on YouTube. We are here every weekday talking about the women's game. You can also make sure to follow all the great work being done covering it by my staff at the Next at thenexthoops.com. You subscribe for $9 a month, $72 a year. It funds people like Gabriella Lewis, who is in town covering the Atlanta Dream. We have beat reporters, one for every single WNBA team in market, because that's the type of coverage that the WNBA deserves. Intense, frequent, constant, and making sure we're telling the stories that matter. And a story that's mattered to me for a long time is the story of Naz Hillmon, who was an absolute star in high school, an absolute star at Michigan, and somehow skeptics didn't think that was going to translate to the WNBA, but game by game, proving it wrong. And I guess the place I want to start, Naz, when we're talking about that, is to take you back to a conversation you and I had last December down in Mohegan at the Mohegan Sun Arena. We were talking about reach, wingspan, and how that translates in this league better than anyone who's just simply measuring height. And so, we both thought that would be the case. It clearly is the case as you get in these regular reps. Take me through, though, what it's like. You're battling fours and fives. You're getting rebounds. We're going to get into how many, but you're doing it at the elite level that you always set in the best league in the world. What does that feel like in the moment to grab that rebound, knowing you're doing it amid the best competition there is?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Like you said, my reach is definitely, obviously, I'm a little undersized compared to some of the fours and fives in this league. But my game translate just means a ton, because I feel like rebounding is just like a lot of hard. That's something that I always want to bring, and that's something that I really, truly hold as a strong. So just being able to pull those down and contribute to my team is exactly what I'm looking forward to do. And I said, like, defense and rebounding, that's like what is at the top of my list. So to be able to get better at that every game has really just like I don't know, just honestly, because I'm able to translate that, for my team. And, I was just, as you said that, I was kind of thinking about the beginning of the year where I felt like some reasons, and I'm like, what is happening? Like this isn't what, how it kind of usually goes for me. So very recently being able to pull down a lot more boards has been great.
It's fascinating to me, that translation, right? When you go at every level, you have been not just playing well, but you've dominated. And so this had to be, correct me if I'm wrong, the first time in your career where you're ever having an adjustment period. Because, you go back even your freshman year at Michigan, I believe you averaged a double-double. I mean, right from the start, you were dominant even at the D1 college level. Leave aside the physical aspect of it, what was your psychological process to try and understand that this was going to be a process that was going to take time?
Definitely was a process. Definitely the first time in my life where, I didn't even know. And that's how it was, this year, for some stretches. Definitely tough. I'm not going to sit here and say that it wasn't. Obviously, like you said, just always playing freshman year, like at Michigan, I didn't start, but I played a ton of minutes. Yeah. It was just, a lot of talking to myself, honestly. Stayed ready. Obviously, this season is a lot condensed, last season. So a lot of games, and not as many people on your team as usual. Whenever my number is called, to be ready. And during this, one of my teammates from college who, for 3 years didn't really play a lot. And then her junior year and senior year, she played, and she was one of my best friends on the team. And just, I used to ask her those questions, like, how are you doing mentally in this process? And it was just, it's always like that, and never feeling sorry for myself. Obviously knowing that a lot of the players that are on my team, they're very seasoned in the WNBA, and just, not necessarily waiting my turn, like say you're waiting in the weeds, but, really just trying to take advantage of my opportunity whenever, but just a lot of like talking to myself of, it'll be fine. Like when my time comes out, and just, being able to do the little things, in practice to show that I'll be ready whenever my name.
And so these last 5 games, you have reached the numbers that I think were certainly what you and I believed were the obvious outcome of getting regular minutes in the league for you. I just want to take you through real quick. You come off the bench, but you score 13, you pull down 11 boards. You did that against Connecticut, against a Connecticut Sun team that's arguably the biggest in the league. You've averaged almost a double-double, 8.2 points, 9 rebounds over these last 5. You started the last 4. You did it in a win over Vegas as well. You pulled down 14 rebounds against Seattle. So you're not just doing this against WNBA competition. You're doing it against teams that are, right there for those top 4 seeds. Does that type of game by game build that confidence for you? Or were you at this point where you just felt like, all right, this was really just a matter of time of me getting in there?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think reps brings you, and when I'm able to be in the flow of the game, it definitely helps. You get your rhythm. Sometimes when you come off and then you play another 2 minutes, it's hard to keep that rhythm. But I think just with this extended helps, to kind of get a feel for the people that I'm playing against, whether they're, they're big able to say, okay, I'm not going to be able to just jump with this player. Like I'm going to have to box out, or, I'm not box out, I'm not going to be able to get it. So I need to go run out and get the long rebounds. So I just, getting some more reps. I think that it definitely helps with the confidence. But also the game, I'm able to see what I can do to better prepare myself and put me into to be able to showcase, what I can do.
So you're doing it for a team that was similarly written off by a whole lot of people. And so I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the Atlanta Dream and how this is clearly a team that is punching above the weight that most people would assign to it. First, I do want to talk about, if I can, Built Bar. And we have Built Bar Puffs that I cannot recommend highly enough. They are called cookie dough chunk puffs. Before we got on the air, I actually just ordered some more of them. They're only 160 calories. They have 15 grams of protein in them. I am not capable of rebounding at the WNBA level, but I cover the game at the WNBA level. And the only reason I have the energy to do even that is because I've got those Built Bars I'm able to take with me on the long drive from my home in New Jersey to Brooklyn to go cover games on a regular basis. So make sure you go and do what I'm doing. Go to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED, to get 15% off your order. That is promo code LOCKED15. And make sure you tell them that Grandma Myrna sent you. Grandma Myrna, of course, the Naz Hillmon of our family. So getting back to the actual Naz Hillmon, right? This Atlanta Dream team, everyone had picked them either 11th or 12th in this league. But I'm looking at the standings and I see a playoff team. I see someone who is capable of not just getting to the playoffs, but with the way you guys defend, giving a first round team everything they're going to be able to handle. And I guess I wonder for you personally and just internally, whether expectations have changed and what's going to feel like a satisfying level of accomplishment here in year one for this dream team writ large.
Yeah, like you said, I do think that a lot of teams, wrote us off, and I think that in the beginning of the year, I think there's been a difference in the way that teams have played us. Lock in terms of, I was a tough run for Atlanta. And a lot of people weren't expecting that with the new coaching staff, the new team, players, everything in between. So I think that, expectations haven't changed. I think that we came into this year, hungry, really set that precedent, and brought in some players who just wanted to win, and was here in Atlanta. So I think with that being said, our goal has always been to play our brand of basketball, and Coach T always talks about us being the hardest, and that's what we are striving to be and have strive to be all year. Been our goal, and if we're doing that and we're winning games, that's all the better. Want to be a playoff team, and we want to make it deep into the playoffs. Just getting, but of course, as the competitors that we are, we want to win some games. We want to move on to the next round, and we for us, like you said, if we can continue to play the defense, that we have been able to play. If we're able to be healthy, I think that those are our two, biggest keys of being successful. We have to get there first, of course, and I think that we kind of control our destiny going into these, I believe. But our standards and our goals have really remained the same because from the beginning, and the way that we want to play, our value and our morals.
Your team has the chance to be building a foundation too, right? You talked about a lot of new changes. I see a lot of parallels, and I wonder if you do. When Tim got you at Michigan to come, it was a momentous shift for that Wolverines program, right? I mean, maybe you can't say so, but I'll say so. To bring in a Naz Hillmon, that took it to another level. And so you know what it is to build foundations, and you're doing it with a teammate in Ryan Howard, who you've played with at USA Basketball, you've been close with for a long time. How much do you love being part of beginnings?
Yeah, I mean that was a huge part of why I went to Michigan. I wanted to be a part of building our culture, building somewhere where people wanted to come. And the interview process of the WNBA, that's what I told the coaches, in the front office. I'm not afraid of building. I'm not afraid of starting from the beginning and want to make Atlanta a destination. When they're in free agency or when they're being drafted, to say, because I see what they're building. I just think that's fun, to start off fresh, and just to bring something different that a team hasn't seen in some years. Is exactly what happened at Michigan, and I really do hope that this is Atlanta. It's just different. I think that it takes a different type of player to kind of start from the beginning, but it's definitely not going to take one person. Like you said, I think Coach T is doing a great job of that. So I'm excited. I really am.
It really is just, and it's just a point of personal privilege, right? But knowing when they picked you that this was part and parcel with what Atlanta was looking to build. This was, and people in the front office have told me, this is our culture year. And so, okay, you bring in Naz, you bring in Ryan. I've covered Coach T since she was a player, and so coming in what type of personalities you have to be able to build. But there's also just the reality of the experience in Atlanta writ large. And our Gabriella Lewis wrote about this over at The Next, terrific story that, for all listeners, you ought to check out at thenexthoops.com. And talked about there's not just a doubling of attendance in Atlanta year over year, but there's a certain feel to the arena as well. I wanted you to take me through that. If there were even college comps to that field, because it feels like everyone's kind of all in on the Atlanta project. That's what it seems like from up here in the Northeast. Is that the feeling you get game by game?
Yes, game by game, like the energy in there is ridiculous. Like we've had so many sellouts. In our gym isn't huge. It sustains the people who come and the energy that they bring. I honestly think it's a great size league, and hopefully we get to the point where we have too many sellouts and more people want tickets a little bit bigger. But it's really the energy, and I think it makes a difference when you're playing. Like it's an advantage. Just the energy and the amount of people that are in there. They're actually sometimes people just show up, and they're just there. But no, our fans they get in on all the little graphics and stuff that's on the board, and I think it does a amazing job of really getting the crowd going and getting them. It even gets to a point where we're in the mall and people are like, "Oh, we're coming to your game this week," and that's just so refreshing because sometimes there is some people who don't know that. So just kind of seeing that other side of people who are so invested. And we actually had a practice yesterday with our season ticket holders. And they were able to come. They're like, our tickets, like people are excited, about it. And just talking to last year, they're like, it was nothing like this last year. Yeah. In terms of the attendance, actually being excited, and continuing to come to the games. And it's not even on when we're winning. Like if we have a couple of games where we dropped a couple, which happened a little bit earlier. Now they're still supporting, and it seems like they're having a great time. So I really do think that it's which is awesome for me, especially coming from Michigan. My last year, so it's really nice that I didn't have to come to a gym that's empty, because that's tough at this point, coming from COVID and having a packed gym. If I were to go back, it'd be a little sad, but Atlanta's the complete opposite of that.
It just should never be the case. And so I'm delighted that Atlanta is embracing the dream the way they always should have, but now everything happening the way it should. And there's a 4-game homestand coming up that's going to help determine what happens from here. It's going to be fascinating to see. I would, just before we get into your expectations for that, it's important that my listeners know you come from basketball royalty, that your mom, Nashima Anderson, was drafted into the ABL back in 1998. And I just can't help but wonder what it feels like to know she was part of the ABL folds. She got 15 games, but she didn't get the chance to show what she should have in the ABL. Does it feel like at a certain level you're able to be playing this and having this success, not just for you, but for her as well?
Definitely. I think that, sometimes I think that she definitely, and I'm okay with that. She's one of my biggest supporters, has helped me so much as high school, college, and professional, because she's done it all. And honestly ended up, giving up her professional career to have a family, so, just some of her sacrifices that she made before I was born to definitely doing this, in part for her, and just her sacrifices, her commitment to me for so many years. I mean, she's come to so many games. Today is going to be her first time, and we still live in Ohio. So just imagine, how that goes. But definitely a tribute to her, because she's just been my biggest fan, and she didn't get to play in this league, but like you said, the ABL for the Nashville Noise. So he is playing for her. Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing to see. I love that we're living in a moment where these types of opportunities are not fleeting. That is part of what has been built here very clearly. And so to see you be part of this is in no way surprising to me, but is delightful to see all the same. When this is all said and done and you look back 5 years from now, what do you want this Atlanta Dream season to have meant to you, to the team? You know, what are you hoping this means?
This is exactly what it is. It's just the beginning. You know, I want to see this Atlanta. I don't want it to be, okay, everything was fresh this year, so this is why it worked. And I do want to see people come in and come in from free agency drafted, and they want to be here and they want to stay here and they also want to build. And as part of all of this is not only that we have great players, but we have great people. And how special this group is, and you know how it just worked out so well that we just enjoy each other so each and every day, and how this doesn't seem like a job. It seems like, you know, back when you're in high school, fun and the love of the game, which is exactly what it is. But yeah, I'm just hoping to build, and that, you know, not that we put heavy expectations on ourselves, but we make it to the playoffs, you know, and that we move on to multiple rounds without putting that on and making it to the point where, you know, you're having a meltdown about it. But to the point, Atlanta Dream going to the playoffs isn't unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's certainly expected over here. So I look forward to continuing to cover your journey, Naz Hillmon. And to our listeners, I want to thank you for making us, Locked On Women's Basketball, your first listen every day. I have just found out there is apparently a basketball league for men also called the NBA. I don't know if, Naz, you're familiar with it at all. Apparently there's like a team down in Atlanta that's also playing there. That's like a little brother program for the Dream. They're called the Hawks. Something you've seen?
No, maybe I should check them out. Yeah, I think that'd be something to look out for.
Absolutely. Once you have the season tickets to the Dream, once you've watched every one of their games, check out the Hawks, and you can follow what they do at Locked On NBA, which is your latest news and rumors I'm just going to try to get this right. Just the NBA in 30 minutes every day. We're your first listen, Locked On NBA. Sure, make them your second listen. Naz Hillmon, always a pleasure. Thank you for your time. To our listeners, thank you for being with us every day about women's basketball. Tomorrow, we'll have Alex Simon talking about another big in the league who's no longer in the league, named Liz Cambage. So that'll be an interesting one, too. Make sure you check it out. Until then, I am Howard Megdal, wishing you a wonderful Thursday.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.